Lighting is super important when you're miniature painting, so today I'm going to show you a few different types of lights, some tips and tricks, and answer a few of your questions that you've thrown my way quite recently. Let there be light! Now, I'm sure that we've all started with something like this basic table lamp here. It's not a bad option if you want to just get going with miniature painting, as it's so small it won't take up much space on your desk. And you can easily change the bulb once it's died. However, the drawbacks with these is that you do not get much space between your desk and the light. And one hack is to just raise it up by adding some books or DVDs. That's right kids, we had physical copies of movies and TV shows before Netflix came around. The other thing of note with these cheap lights is the bulb itself. Once switched on, they have different colours to them, or temperatures measured in Kelvin. And this is where we have warmer coloured temperatures in the orangey yellowish range at the lower Kelvin measurement, and the more bluish looking colours measured at the higher Kelvin. With natural white or daylight colours somewhere in the middle. And this is good to know when you are choosing your light source for your miniature painting. So here we can see the light emanating from our little cheap table lamp is casting a yellow hue onto my hand, and more importantly, the miniature. Because the colours will look totally different under another light source, such as this daylight lamp, which operates at 6000 Kelvin. For these table lamps you can buy bulbs separately from places like Amazon. Just make sure that the type of fitting fits your lamp, but also look at the Kelvin number, which is normally measured in the thousands, like here. Oh yes, and lastly, if you are painting a larger model, then you might want to consider something with a longer arm extension than this little thing, as you will outgrow it way too quickly. Enter the daylight lamp. This light is a super bright LED table lamp, with the light itself being pretty long, just over 50 centimeters. It has two different brightness levels. Just click the button at the top to cycle through them, and more importantly, this colour temperature runs at 6000 Kelvin, making it cooler than our previous light. And unlike our light from the start of the video, this one comes with a table clamp to help it support the long reach of the mounting arm. You could have this lamp well out of the way whilst you're painting, and then just position it directly above you, making it super functional. This is a bright light, and it picks up on the camera settings a lot more than in person, and I'll show you a little hack for that in a moment. So yes, we are running at 6000 Kelvin here, and it just gives us a more natural look to our miniatures whilst we're painting. Now for those that may want to record or do videos for themselves, I've got this partially translucent cloth here. In its previous life it was a cheap shower curtain. Using a couple of the wife's hair bobbles, which I constantly find laying around the whole house, I just fit this sheet over the lamp. And don't worry, it's an LED light. This light won't get hot, and you can leave it on for hours and hours without any issues. And what this does is that it diffuses the intensity of the light a bit, and gives us a more softer appearance on the models. So on the left is the light at full power. Still a little bit bright for the camera. The middle is at the lowest setting, which is what I use for videos, and the right is with no diffusion cloth at all. You may also want to consider a fill light as well, depending how well lit you would like your background to be. And that's how I use my limited space to create videos for you guys. Now from this image you might be thinking, what on earth is that over there? This is my custom-made light. I tried a few lights off Amazon to do this task. They were either not bright enough, or the professional lights were so expensive, to buy them I would have had to sell an arm and a leg, and not even mine. So I made one out of an umbrella. I hacked off the handle, purchased a foil camping blanket and stuck it onto the inside, which would then reflect more of the light from the LED strip, which was daylight white 6000K. And it had this fun on-off switch that I can hover my hand over, like magic. All in all, this cost me around about £35 to make. And with something like this, it would be pretty good for live streaming, which is what I'm going to be starting soon, unless
you wish to see me in the dark.
So when using it alongside a daylight lamp, you get a nice amount of light for the desktop, which is important. However, for the casual hobbyist who doesn't need camera work doing, the normal ambient room light alongside some sort of desk light will be more than enough. Enter the sponsor of the video today, 𝐒𝐿. They have been gracious enough to send over a couple of these lights to try out and show on the channel. This is a lightweight LED panel, around about the size of my hand, and smaller than our much larger daylight lamp. And it's all controlled with this little magic box attached to the wire. Like the daylight lamp, it has its own arm and table clamp, which is nice. So it means that the light won't get in our way like our table lamp in the beginning, giving us plenty of room to hobby. After a quick look at the instructions, yes, I'm one of those, I noticed that we not only have an adjustable brightness, but different light setting modes for these lights as well. And it runs off a USB, which is fantastic. As with whatever country you are from, you could just use something like your mobile phone plug, unless that is you are still using an old phone like a Nokia 3210, with the good old Snakes game. Speaking of which, why is that on the new phones automatically? That was such an addictive game. As a quick check, I plugged the USB to test out the light to see how bright this little fella is going to be. In terms of a brightness level, you can adjust it reasonably well as it's easy to do so with the buttons. And for the three coloured functions, we have a bright white, a cooler blue, and a warmer yellowish hue. As mentioned before, it does come with an arm mount and a desk clamp, which is pretty easy to put together. All you have to do is screw the light and the clamp onto the arm. On a side note here, the clamp does give you a clearance of around about 6 cm. So bear that in mind and measure your desk first before you buy any hobby lights. For example, I have a fat potato desk, so this clamp will not fit on. But that's exactly why I purchased this TV mount. And in terms of arm reach, it's pretty good, so you can have it well out of the way whilst painting. A pet hate of mine are cables. Cables are everywhere. So it's quite smart that they've added these cable clips onto the arm. You can have it run down the length of the arm and out of the way. My next question is, what is the actual light like? Cycling through the colours, you know I'm not a fan of the yellowishy warm light, but I would be happy with the other two settings. A single light just to the left over here actually illuminates the area where I would be painting pretty well. You can see all the details on the miniatures perfectly, and I'd be happy to paint with this light. But if you had a pair of them, like so, you could have one either side and illuminate the area even more. Firstly, here this is with my overhead fill light to illuminate the whole area of the desk. And then switching that off so we're just left with the two lights here on their own. Overall, these two lights are pretty nifty, and coming in at nearly half of the price of the daylight lamp. If you would like to know any more about this daylight lamp or this LED 𝐒𝐿 light, then check out the links in the description below. And until next time, keep on hobbying!